Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. The Edomites, ain't nobody filing for your propaganda, your psyops. I'm going to get into this video, but the people, some of these Babylonians are waking up to, the psyops that they do, wag the dog events, to work the magic on the people's minds to show you an illusion. The world is a stage, right? So this whole thing, the latest psyop that they did, ain't nobody falling for because that magic, that magician, Esau Edom, has been exposed. Everybody know his tricks now. So anything, if you know anything about a magician, once people learn the tricks that he do, he no longer has that illusion on the people because they know his tricks. And this wag the dollar, Salakia, this wag the dog event, you ain't fooling nobody. We see right through it. You know what I'm saying? Like the other thing, I'm going to watch what I say because I can't say too much because they'll clip it. So I'm going to play this video. Let's get straight into it.
His name was searched up in Israel several times before it happened, but that doesn't matter. I know that there's pictures of him in an IDF sweatshirt, but obviously, there's no ties to Mossad, right? He just likes wearing the clothes. I know that Trump is texting his reporters telling them to come home because he's going to be bombing Iran this week, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean anything about the shooter. And I know that our greatest actress, politician, company owner slash demon, Erica Kirk, was, putting her tear eye drops in and running away. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean this was fake. And I know that, whenever they were doing interviews and said there was going to be shots fired tonight, that they weren't talking about the real shots. That was just, a figure of words.
This speech tonight will be classic Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
We should all know this totally wasn't a false flag. We're totally not red-pilled goyim who know exactly what's going on in the world.
Now, what this guy was doing is making satire, about what happened because everybody know this bullshit for the most. You still gonna have a lot of these simple Babylonians, these Americans that believe anything the news television tells them. There ain't no hope for them. But this let's go here. So I'm gonna go, show you what they do and how they do it. Remember, they need to bring order out of chaos. That's part of their credo, but in order to bring order, they must first bring chaos. Salakia. A voice kind of cracking in and out, so Salakia about that. It says, what's a false flag? It says a false flag is a covert operation, typically military, political, or cyber, carried out by a group of government. By a group, government, or entity with the intent of blaming a different party for the action. So that's what a false flag is, and it gets deeper, but it's just a distraction. And a lot of times they got multi reasons they do these different false flags to bring on different draconian laws, to, so on and so forth. I'm being very careful what I say. So let's go here. So the last event, that they did, I'm going to be doing a lesson on that just to show you the video. But it's all theater. The world is a stage. These people are just actors. At the end of the day, when it's all is said and done, the tiny tops control everything. And until the Lord comes back, it's going to be very chaotic. And it's going to be, you're not going to be able to believe anything that you see on the mainstream media because this whole system is built on lies, deception, and confusion. It says Ecclesiastes 27:27. He that worketh mischief, it shall fall upon him, and he shall not know whence it cometh. So people are waking up to this mischief, these psyops, these enchantments, these different false flag events that get the people distracted. You know, nothing is what it seems. Damn near like the Truman Show, right? That's what sometimes we feel like if you ever saw the movie Truman Show, I advise you to watch it. It's almost like the Truman Show. Let's go to this figure of speech, the world is a stage. Salakia. Right here. Salakia. It says right here, the world is a stage, meaning it says all the world's a stage is a metaphor from Shakespeare as you like it. It said it compares life to play, suggesting that people are merely actors performing predetermined roles from birth. That goes back into that predestiny. This a heavy thing right here, because everything has already been orchestrated. We just playing it out. Everybody's playing out their destiny. And in this movie the Lord created, you're going to have the wicked and you're going to have the righteous remnant among the elect. And that's what the plot is. You know, that's the main characters, Esau and Jacob. It says predetermined roles from birth, entrance to death, exit. It implies that human life is a temporary artificial performance where we wear a mask and play multiple parts. You know, so on and so forth. You get the gist of it, but the world is a literal stage. And we see in prophecy play out in a crazy way. We can literally see the wicked. We can see what they're doing. We can see why they're doing it. Why is they doing all this doing all these things to bring on the draconian measures so they can lock down the people, right? And walk them into this new world order, which is going to be the MOTB. What the MOTB mean? It means micro CHIP. You get it? So they come in with that. And let's go to this term, psyop. Because some of you brothers and sisters might have heard this term. And I went to it some of my lessons. I went to this term. Salakia, dealing with allergies. It says a psyop is a planned military tactic used to influence the emotions, motives, objective reasoning, and behavior of foreign governments. Let's go a little bit deeper than that. Right here. I want to put psyop in. It says examples include producing propaganda leaflets, using radio broadcasts. So this would be like the media machine. They did this in the military, these different military campaigns. But what they did by them doing it in these military campaigns, they learned that they can do it with the media, with the public. So it's the same concept of just put the people in the, they use the people to put the enchantments on using the media. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is like propaganda's going back into all the news outlets. That's all propaganda to push a narrative. They all on board pushing the same agendas. They might seem like they're fighting against each other, but that's all part of the divide and conquer strategy that they use. Remember, to bring in order, to bring in order, you got to have chaos. So they set up a system of dysfunctionality, all kind of madness, and this is why they're able to conquer the people. So this psyop that they did was nothing new. This is what they do. I want to go a little bit deeper. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is the one I wanted. This a little bit better. It says a political psyop. It says psychological operation is a strategic, non-lethal campaign designed to influence the emotions, motives, objective reasoning, and behavior of foreign governments, organizations, or groups, which would be those groups, the people that's in Babylon and around the world. It says to align with specific interests. These operations use tailored information, including propaganda and media, to manipulate perceptions, creating confusion, reducing morale, or inducing specific actions in opponents. But that's heavy. So going back into the Lord, got Babylon, Babylon is throwing these different enchantments on the people. And that's why you see the people all confused. They're all over the place. One extremity to the next of confusion is like gumbo. Going into these people's minds is nothing but confusion. Like, if a pot of gumbo got all kind of different madness in it, right? Which you should not be eating no gumbo, by the way. That's a whole nother lesson. Going into the dietary laws. Let's stick on subject. Isaiah 47:12, it says, stand now with thine enchantments. That enchantments is plural, meaning it's many. And with the multitude of thy sorceries, plural, meaning many, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, if so, be thou should be able to profit. If so, be thou mayest prevail. So, again, I'm going to go to this word enchantments, and I've done this before. Enchantment. So this place got a literal spell on these people. Enchantment is a state of being under a spell, magic, magician, spellbound, captivated, allured. Going back into that woman in the book of Revelation that represents America. People are in love with this place. They're in love with the American dream concept. They're in love with politics. They're in love with the professional sports. This place got an enchantment on the people, a spell. It says great fascination, or the use of magical charms. So the media is a part of their magic that they do on the minds to call the people's minds into what they want them to think, what they want them to talk about, what they want them to think the world is all about. They're not going to tell you really what's going on in the real scheme of things. That's why they don't give you the Megan Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson stories, that's some straight fucking folly. It says it represents both the act of charming someone, delight, and the application of magical influence. They media, that's a magic. The media, they moves, their propaganda, going back into Christianity. They use their media and media machine to formulate your mind on how you see the Bible by them using images and giving you the narratives of what they want you to think the Bible's all about. That's why most people think the Bible is a so-called white man book, because that's what they've been taught. It says common synonyms include fascination, charm, magic, glamour, or lure. Going back into that woman that seduced these nations with that wine, and Babylon is under the influence, is under a spell. Your average Babylonian is under a spell. Many different ways they do this. They got everything covered. So from you, see, most people don't even know what a marriage truly is. They think it's when a man no. Sex is marriage, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. It says magic, spell, influence. I want to go into this. The act of influencing something with magic, such as a sorcerer, spell, or casting, they call newscasters. They're casting a spell. It says an enchantment on an object. It says in gaming, this refers to improving equipment. So they go use these newscasters, get them a script, and they put these different enchantments on the people's minds. And all this stuff is nothing but lies and propaganda. But it sounds so convincing because these people are under a spell. When you're under a spell, you completely bugged out. You under enchantment. You're under control. You influence. And that's why we'll tell these people what's really going on, and they'll call it a conspiracy theory, because they trained their mind to accept unknown information and information that's not a part of the mainstream media as conspiracy talk. All right, hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rachak, Kodash. Shalom.